I'm Pern.
And I'm Dave.
Welcome to the show, where we talk about everything from movies, music, sports, and TV.
And stories from the rest of our lives.
Things we don't talk about are politics and religion.
And this is how we all stay friends.
Okay, let's talk. So how you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. How was your, I understand you had a difficult day.
Today has been a crazy day. It's just been one of those where from the time you wake up to up until we're recording this,
Yes.
it's just been nonstop. Like my schedule all day has been something at like the top or the half of the hour, almost every hour. And I don't like the days when there's that much stuff crammed in. I like to, breathe a little bit, not, have to be like, 3:30 be here, or 5 o'clock be here, 6 o'clock you have to be here. So because you've got this now small windows to get what you need done, to get it done. And then it just frustrates me more if I can't get that done, but I have to leave because I have to go
the next thing
here to, pick up my daughter at school, or I have to go do this. And that that's an issue. There's no issues, but it's just like the not being able to get things completed before I have to move on to the next step. And
I get that.
It just gets backfiled for later in the evening. Okay, well, when I get back to that, when I have time to do this, and just so it was just one of those days. And my wife had her not back to school. It was a parent night at school.
Right.
And so she wasn't here. And so I'm like running and doing everything. I literally said to the kids when we were sitting down at dinner, I was like, I don't know how mom does this every night when I'm at work. I don't. She is just like, just a rock star, because I'm like, oh my gosh. But then Miles goes, yeah, but you were trying to get the Xbox hooked up for us, the new one, so we could both play. And then the dog threw up on the floor, and then you were trying to get dinner. And then I'm like, and mom probably deals with everything
I'm sure
the same.
You don't even hear about those little things that
Right.
Are hiccups in the night.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, my wife juggles so much stuff as it is. And it's just amazing that, and tonight was one of those nights. I'm like, I don't know how she does all that stuff, like with everything.
It's very good that you appreciate that, that happening.
Yeah. Cause it just, tonight was one of those nights. Like, I don't even know how we got here to the recording session yet, because it was just like, it has been since the time I woke up today all day long, and we record like, after 9 o'clock at night. So this is,
Well, I have to put my entire house to bed before we can start anything too. So, or I leave. So yeah,
right.
Everyone's fed. Everyone's
tucked in.
Yeah. Pretty much ready to go before I hit the door. So,
gotcha. All right. So what do you got?
I got nothing. Most of
my
my
you always have something.
Oh my gosh. Well,
nothing.
Okay.
We just went down a list of things to talk about. What do you got?
We did
nothing.
Nothing. Well, nothing from my day. I don't have a hot day like yours was.
Okay.
But I do have a couple things that I was looking up for researching the show. And I don't know if you know this, but there are certain things that happen downtown in D.C.
In D.C. We're just outside of Washington, D.C.
Right. So we can actually go and do these things. Museums, art shows,
Dunham.
All these different things that happen, right? Well, one is what I just looked up. This is the most amazing thing. It's called Dopamine Land. Okay. And you buy tickets and you show up at this thing. It is an interactive experience, like a child's museum, kind of. Okay. But
for dopamine addicts?
Yes, pretty much. The whole rooms that you walk through. And I have a whole list of the rooms. Now we'll go through a couple of them. We don't have to go through all 11
give me the highlight ones
of these rooms. I'll give you the good ones, because there's some of these are just stupid.
Okay, hit me.
But okay, so you walk in and you immediately start in what's called the bubble room. And it's a start and the end point of the entire thing. It's like a giant circle. Okay. And you're walking through. You start here and it's a giant, it's a bar which serves food, which I always thought that might be a problem, with a giant ball pit there. So you can jump in this ball pit and just get all wired and worked up.
So like at the Playland at McDonald's, but for adults?
Yes. So I can only imagine how wonderfully diseased these balls might be. But yes.
They might not. Yeah, may or may not be cleaner or not cleaner. I don't know. Where to go? You wouldn't know.
You would almost have to assume that they were doing that, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you go into the next room, which is a decompression room, which is supposed to clear your thoughts and senses before you go into the amazing museum. Right. It would just like tone you down. Blue lights, soothing, drapery, all this other stuff to start you on your journey. And then the narrator kicks in. And I guess it's this soothing voice to get you to the point where you're going to walk through and totally get wired. Because I thought dopamine was this like kick to your system. that gets you excited, right? So why do they need to calm you down before you throw you right into
ball
it?
Pit
but
is
yeah, so then you're like jumped,
wired.
your alcohol, your food, you're all pumped up. But then it goes through all these other ones. There's a couple of them here that are just kind of dull and boring.
So do you have to go through every room, or can you pick and choose?
It's pretty much a walkthrough. So I'm having a feeling you got to go through all of them. So your dopamine levels based on what happens in the system is probably not going to be for certain things. Like one of them's a rhythm room, which is a sound studio kind of thing. And I guess it's hosted by some beatbox duo called Spider Horse.
Oh, I don't know.
And it's supposed to unlock your dopamine with sound and music. So I have no clue how that works. I don't know if dopamine levels in my head would get crazy, but I can almost imagine an anxiety level if it's like boom, 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 the whole time.
Right. But honestly, I would almost pay to see that, to see what your dopamine levels do, if that's what they do. I would love to see Dave monitored. Just like totally staring up at the ceiling, the shoulders going, bouncing.
Just getting all freaky crazy. Yeah, that would be pleasant. Who the hell wants to see that?
I think it'd be hysterical.
And then there's a couple rooms that have projections where you can do things with them, but one of them's a shadow projection room where you can do shadow puppets and all this other stuff, which you can do that at home. Why would that
do
be
all this stuff
dopamine?
Like online at Disney attractions? Like, isn't that Soarin' where you can make the little, like, you can draw on the wall when you go up the ramp at Soarin'.
Oh yeah,
and you're waiting in that one section, and you can make you can do the projection things.
Yes, that's it.
I mean,
exactly.
it's probably much cheaper than flying all the way down to Disney and doing that. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, it was like $20 or $30 per person.
Right. Well, that's a lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper, exactly, and closer. You don't have to fly; you just drive down. But it is only in certain cities. And then there's another one where the entire room is an entire blank canvas, where it looked like in the picture, where it's just a giant wall with a where you can just write with crayons and things on the ground.
Oh, okay.
But how do they do that every day? Like, do they have some guy who comes in with 409 and just starts wiping everything down?
Yeah.
Because it looked like everybody was just drawing whatever. And you know how people are, right?
Yeah.
You can only imagine there's got to be some kind of questionable material over here in the corner, or, some suggestive something or other over here. Yeah, right. I can only imagine.
Let me be funny. I'm going to draw a penis. Nobody's ever done that before.
They will never find this.
We're so funny.
Right. And then this was a weird one. It was an interactive room, like a lucid dream with actions causing walls to decorate with push and pull. So it looked like in the picture that the walls themselves, you could touch them and things would happen on them.
Oh, okay.
And it would just go up the screen, I guess, and kind of reform and do some other things. How, again, is this a dopamine thing? But I can only imagine it's all sensor related. Then the last room is a giant pillow fight where it's just pillows everywhere. And it's not like the walls are
just knocking each other silly.
Yeah. And that could always get bad. And especially with people you don't know in a room.
Because if you just don't like the way a guy looks at you and you're like, I'm going to go.
He was in the ball pit earlier and hit me with a ball. I'm just waiting to get to this ball pit.
He drew a penis in the one room. Yes, I'm not having that.
My kid didn't need to see that. Yeah. So now I'm going to just poke his eye out with a corner of a pillow. So who knows? But yeah, so that was kind of a neat little thing that I found online. And it's something you can do if you want to take the kids, who knows. And then I did not get to watch the Top Gun movie, which is what you wanted me to go see earlier.
You have got to watch Maverick, Top Gun.
It was on my list, but again, on your list. Finding time sometimes is just to put aside watching the Top Gun movie.
Well, you're going to be shocked when we get to the movie segment. So,
oh no, is there more?
You're going to be shocked. Okay, anyway,
so there we go.
Okay, so but talking about like going to Disney, so I saw an article yesterday. There was a guy that I want to say he's in his mid-late 40s, and he found this Disney World golden ticket. Yeah. And it was actually like a ticket book. So, because it used to be, when Disney first opened in the 70s, that you had to have a ticket to ride the ride, because they only had like 10 or 11 rides or something like that.
C, D,
right.
E
and
level,
you had to
E-ticket rides. You would have to rip the ticket out of the book in order to ride the ride.
So he has this little gold book, and the price on it was $8.
Wow.
And it was basically to prepay. It's to get into the park.
Right.
And so, there was no expiration date on it. So over the past, I sometime recently, I don't know if it was this past weekend or whenever it was, he went to Orlando And he walked up and he's totally expecting them to be like, hey, yeah, no, we're not accepting this, whatever. And he said he hands it to the woman at the ticket booth. And she immediately starts stamping void all over it. And he's like, oh my God. Okay, well, I guess we're not getting in the park. She comes back like 2 seconds later with this yellow lanyard pass thing and says, here you go.
Wow.
And he's like, that's it? And she goes, yeah, have a great, have a magical day. Whatever, they say Disney, go do your thing.
Have a magical day. Yeah, you're right.
And he goes on in, and basically one of his relatives in the 70s, somehow, I don't know if it was great grandmother or grandmother, something like that, they had bought this pass, and it was $8 to get in, and there was no expiration date, but it's a 1-day pass for Magic Kingdom only. He couldn't go park hopping or anything like that to the different stuff.
Right.
For Magic Kingdom only, he got in, and the cost for the ticket that day when he went would have been like $165 for an adult to get in.
Yep.
And he literally got in for free, or for what $8 was.
But he didn't pay. So technically free.
Well, right. Technically free. But they were saying in the article, like, even if you do the math with inflation and the fact that there's so much more in the parks now than just those initial 10 or 12 rides they were and stuff. And it's so much bigger that the dollar value of that pass was so much greater, because it was like the fact that somebody spent $8 for it, and today it's $165 to get in, and but you get so much more now
from that
than you did in 1975 or whatever.
Compare the $8 to the 12 rides you could have gotten, and then
they said that with inflation, the $8 now today would be like $40.
Wow! So even $40 for what you're getting now
was still So it was, and I was just like, I thought that was awesome. That this guy, like, he went to Disney, and he had like this pass that he found like in his grandmother's drawer or something like that, and was like, let me see if it works, and went to Disney and it worked. And he wasn't expecting to. He was ready, I think, to pay, like, to get in anyway. He's already made the trip. He's in Orlando.
I just wanted to show this off.
Like, let me see if this, and they took it, and they're like,
they voided it all over, and that in itself would have been a collector's item to sell, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, God,
unvoided.
And they just screwed it.
If he sold it unvoided, he probably easily could have got hundreds of dollars for it.
Oh my gosh! So, just some collector, right? Because those tickets don't exist ever now. Like, you could just
can't
sell
find something like that.
The book itself to a Disney collector or a memorabilia place or a museum or something.
And there's Disney fanatics out there that would, like, if you put that online or up for auction, I'm sure it would have fetched some.
Definitely. Yeah. And he got $165 technically.
But he still got a good deal. He still got a good deal, and he got to go to Disney for the day, and like it is a great story, and like it is,
and he's 15 minutes of fame, I guess.
Like, what if the article come out? Oh, this guy sells this Disney magic ticket book
would have
for
just
like
wouldn't even thought about it.
$3,000. It would have been like, oh, whatever. He just went out and made money off of it.
Exactly, jerk off.
Jerk.
Yes, right. Yeah,
took somebody for $3,000.
What the hell? Some idiot.
Yeah. But no. So he went in, got in. Perfect. Had the fun day at Disney.
Yeah.
I was like, good for him. Yeah. It's a great story.
And the lanyard got him what? Like, did it say what
I don't know. I don't know if it was like skip the line or something.
Oh, gosh. That's even more valuable nowadays.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If you can get a skip the line pass, exactly. That's
my gosh.
Yeah.
King for a day kind of thing.
So
Prince, actually. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Prince for the day. You mean he's dead? Oh, wait.
No, not that one.
Sorry. Oh, not that Prince.
Not that Prince.
Not that Prince. Okay.
You know how Blizzard is an Activision were a thing, right? And they were putting all these games out.
They do Call of Duty and all that stuff.
Right?
Yes.
Well, Microsoft said enough of that and went ahead and bought them in like a $69 billion
that went through
merger, right?
Yep.
And so they're fighting that and trying to get all that through, and then finally get it through, and they all suck in. Of course, Microsoft's buying everybody, right? Because it's easier to buy something than to make something.
Exactly. Just buy it from someone else.
The innovation's there. They're going to buy you up. So they did. They bought them up. They went ahead and decided that we like Blizzard and we like Activision, but we don't like them that much. So we're going to let 1,900 of them just go. We're going to release them. So they can't, they laid off.
Oh, right. Because because they released something and like the next day it was like, oh, you're all fired.
Yeah. But they were also working on games this whole time. So one of the survival games that they were working on since like last year, January 2022. That's last year. No, I guess that's a little
2 years. Almost 2 years. A year and a half ago. Yeah. 2 years.
So 2 years. So they went ahead and said, oh yeah, we're not going to put that out either. So these guys are working on this thing this whole time, and then we're going to lay you off, and we're not going to release your game. So, that's lovely. So yes, but I was like, okay, it turns out that those layoffs were 8% of that workforce. 8% of the company.
19,000 people is 8%?
1,900.
Oh, 1,900, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, that's a
8%, right? So 8% of that workforce is gone. And Microsoft's already been laying off people. They laid off 10,000 just recently. And that was ahead of the Activision purchase. So they were trying to make room money-wise to get them on board, but just to turn around and and throw them away.
And just like, all right.
So yeah, it was kind of funny. And then
I
read in the story that, which is an element of the story that was too funny, was that the internal memo explaining the necessity for the layoffs came from Matt Booty.
Matt Booty.
Yeah, they got booted from Matt Booty.
From Matt Booty.
Hear about that from Matt Booty.
Hey, Matt Booty.
Matt Booty booted him.
He booted him out.
Yeah. So, yeah. Nice tie-in.
So the movies.
Yes.
So I started watching Killers of the whatever moon.
Oh,
what
yes. The Killers of the
one.
Indian Moon.
Yes.
Or Indian Moon?
Or no, not Indian. Killers of the Flower Moon?
Flower, that's it. Flower
Maybe
Moon.
that's it.
Oh
yes.
my God. How are we so bad at this?
I don't know. Because I went down, looked at the Oscar list again and was like, wow, we only saw the Barbie movie. And we discussed that on last week's session.
Right.
And by the way, so one of the backlash I didn't realize until I heard it later in the week after we recorded last week was a lot of people saying how Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Barbie, like as a Best Actress.
Best Actress,
nomination.
yeah, that was a big thing. But
Ryan
America
Gosling and America Ferrera got nominated.
Right. And the song.
So, in the song. And like there's a bunch of other stuff, that got nominated. One of the directors of one of the movies this past week was quoted when they asked him about that. He goes, because his movie's nominated for Best Picture, and I can't remember which director and I can't remember which movie it was. But he went and said that he goes, well, I really felt the Barbie movie was more about Ken anyway, wasn't it?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's like, was there some hidden deeper level of Barbie that I missed, that it was more about Ken than it really was Barbie? I thought the whole point that Greta Gerwig wrote it was because it was Barbie's issues with being Barbie.
Yes, exactly.
So, not Ken's issue with Ken being Barbie's side. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this director went on that, and he's.
Oh, is he hearing it?
There's some people. Everybody online got an opinion. Blah blah blah. So, which I think people are a little too opinionated. Which going sidebarring off this. I actually finished watching Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, which I had not seen. I didn't see it in theaters. My grandparents took the kids to see it, and I didn't get to go that day, and something happened, whatever.
Right.
So I waited for it to come out on Disney Plus to stream.
Of course.
So I'm watching Dial of Destiny. Now I'm at the point where I'm older, and I cannot, if the movie's longer than an hour and 45 minutes, I split it into 2 nights. Like I'll do like an hour 15, and then the next night I'll do the next hour 15, whatever. Like when I get home from work. So plus, like, when I get home from work, it's something I can unwind. I'm not playing video games. I'm like, let me unwind, watch the rest of this, and then I go to bed. So I did watch Dial of Destiny, and I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, just get on and go along with the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I heard so much criticism of that movie when it came out, that it was just like, it's not as good, and the last Indiana Jones, blah blah blah, and this just people bitching and complaining.
Right.
And I'm just like, it's Indiana Jones. Just get on and go for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get the chase scenes. You're gonna get the the fighting. You're gonna get all of the Nazi stuff. You're gonna get the throwback jokes to like at the very. Did you see? You saw it, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so at the very end, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. With him and Marion, and she's like, "Oh, well, it hurts right here," and kisses the elbow. So I'm like, that goes back to Raiders, like when on the boat, and it was just like that was so sweet that I was like, all right, cool,
right.
So, yeah. Anyway, I was
Indiana
Jones Dial of Destiny. I was just like, get on, go for the ride, shut up, sit down, and just
and again, I thought that's what movies were supposed to be, is that whole disbelief, like keeping that
your
suspended. Yeah, exactly.
Right, because that, it's Indiana Jones. There's been a level set. I do feel that it had a bit of a Last Crusade feel to it,
yes,
tone wise,
right,
and not as much. Temple of Doom was very dark, and but it was just like it had that Last Crusade feel to it, and I was like, okay, I'm okay. Even though Last Crusade wasn't my favorite Indiana Jones movie, I know.
Really?
Yeah, start the backlash now against Pern, because
I get that.
A lot of people think Last Crusades was the best because it was the whole father son religious thing, which we don't talk about religion. So
maybe, but yeah,
I don't.
Okay.
Anyway, so Okay, so I watched that, but so now people are criticizing, this director for saying the thing about Barbie movie and all that. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I need to watch some of the other Oscar nominated movies. So my goal is between now and March 10th, I think it is.
Okay.
Is to watch at least 2 or 3 more of the movies.
Okay.
I'm not going crazy. I'm not saying I'm going to watch all 10 of the nominated Best Pictures, but
right.
if I see 2 or 3 more, okay, if they're on a streaming platform that I'm already paying for, I'll watch it. I'm not going to rent it or pay extra for it or whatever.
Don't go out of your way.
Right. If it's available on a streaming platform, one of the 26 that I'm already subscribed to,
why not?
Then I watch it. So that being said, I started last night. I got home from work and I was like, I'm going to start watching the Killers of the Sunset. What is it called?
Killers of the
something Flower Moon. I don't know why that will not stick in my head.
It hurts.
So I started watching it, and you got DiCaprio, you got Scorsese directing.
Right.
It's just like the cast is like this top quality stuff.
Right.
Oh, De Niro is in it, and I'm watching, and it just seemed too clean. Like it's a period set back in
right.
Yeah, like and Leo DiCaprio comes home from the war.
Okay.
To do this, I'm like, Leo DiCaprio's like almost 50 years old in real life. He's not some 20-year-old soldier off to the war. And like you can see it, like as the close up on his face, you see the crows, next to his eyes, and you see the wrinkles. And Leo's aging. He's aging, he's gracefully.
Right.
But it's just like he's not some 20-some-year-old home from the war
type
stupid, kid.
Right.
He's
back
he's
then,
obviously older.
Yeah, back then, did we take 50-year-old people in the war and bring them back?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Some of the generals and stuff.
I don't know. Maybe,
but it seemed like he was just a regular soldier. Like,
he even says, what he did. He worked on clean or not KP duty, but he made food for the soldiers.
Oh,
that was his job.
Oh,
so he's basically like a private.
Okay, right.
If he was like just doing the shit work, making food for everybody else as they went out.
That's kind of a scenario there.
So I'm watching it, and it just it's trying to be super nostalgic. It's trying has like little subtitles up for things, and it has like the flashback of like the old black and white pictures of the American Indian culture and all this stuff, and I'm like, but it's still too clean. It's like, hi, I'm Martin Scorsese, and I've basically got a blank checkbook to make this movie.
Right.
And he makes it look too good and almost perfect. Like even in the first scene when De Niro walks out of the house, you can tell the jacket he's wearing has never been worn before they said action and shot that scene.
Still had the creases where it was folded.
It's like this, felty-ish kind of jacket.
Oh, it wasn't missing a button or anything like that.
And it's
it was just
but
so
all
clean
the costumes are like that too, not just him. But I noticed it on De Niro first, and then I looked at all the other costumes, and I was just like, well, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's just come home, he's got his war whatever, but like the rich people, they all have like these perfect like clothes.
Isn't that kind of how that is?
It is, but I don't know anybody that would like. You're telling me that if
That's
you're
true.
out, it was too perfect, like the way it looks. So I made it. I'm 45 minutes in because the movie's 3.5 hours long, and there is absolutely no way I'm sitting through a 3.5 hour movie in one sitting.
Theater do that?
I don't know. How is it possible? How is that possible?
They don't have intermissions. Like
no. And
I would think they would.
Yeah,
need to have
I'm serious. So I got 45 minutes in, and then I paused. I'm like, oh my god, I still have another 2 hours and 45 minutes to go in this
What's
movie.
left to tell?
And I think I know what's going on from the characters, and I think I know where it's going.
Right.
And I would be super shocked if it got to the end and Molly just killed them all with a shotgun or something. Like, super
Major
twist. And like, there's people listening to this that are probably already seen the movie like, well, that's not how it ends. Well, next week after I finish it, I'll come back and we'll revisit and I'll tell you like, oh wow, that's not what happened. Because I don't know, I'm only 45 minutes into it. So, but I'm like, with all of that, I think I know where it's going. I know what's going on and stuff. I don't really see a big twist. I know who the evil people are and the good people and what they're doing and what they're trying to do and the undertones of it. Why do I still have 2 hours and 45 minutes left in this movie? I'm 45 minutes in. I think I got it.
Maybe there's 3 more acts of story to tell.
I don't know. I'm it's not that I'm again not liking it, even though I've just talked about being heavily criticizing of Indiana Jones and I'm criticizing this.
Right.
It looks fantastic, but it looks too good. And again, I think I've already got to the point where I know what's going to happen, but we'll see. So next week once I finished it, I can Well, either go back and say, wow, I'm really a real idiot and kick myself in the butt, or,
we may be spoiled. Think
just
about
a little.
all the 80s movies that we saw, which were 90-some minutes long.
Oh my
where
gosh, 90
the story
minutes
was one story.
Oh,
it wasn't like layers.
One Crazy Summer.
Oh my
God.
God.
Classic. Love One Crazy
Better Off
Summer.
Dead kind of
Better
scenarios.
Off Dead.
I mean, all of those movies had
Steve Savage
one
movies.
thread.
Yeah.
One thread. There wasn't like anything you had to really pull apart to get to the end.
Right.
You weren't watching Freddy Krueger come to a
in 6 different people's dreams at the same time, layered over
come to
one
some
atop,
realization of how his axe may be bad, or you didn't have
his axe. Freddy Krueger had the blade fingers. What are you talking? His axe. His axe.
Actions.
His axe. Oh, his actions.
Axe.
Oh, his axe. His axe.
That's Jason with the axe.
Yes, exactly. So. Gotcha. So I don't know. We'll see next week. So and then I've got to see what else is streaming that I can maybe watch 1 or 2 more over the next couple of weeks, because there are a couple of weeks.
Nostalgia.
Right. Oh, right.
We do have a new movie coming out.
Yes.
That's going to be flashing back to a half nostalgia, half new kind of movie trailer. It just came out.
Slowly making the transition.
The Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Yep. Which I saw
this trailer.
I haven't watched it yet.
But I've heard, mother of Christ.
I've heard that it's great to see the original cast members back.
Yes. So. And again, they're looking a little long in the tooth.
Of course,
anyway. But yeah. Of course they are. They're older.
It's been 35 years since they shot the first one.
Well, it's the same thing with the Indiana Jones scenario. You can't expect them to do the same stuff that they did before, because they're older, and they're supposed to be playing that role of being older. And
in the opening scene of Indiana Jones, they had the AI,
they had the CGI,
the age,
they
on
had
his face,
all.
and it looked a little weird at first, but I'm like, okay, I'll
go with it. I'll go with it. We were in the past, and he's gonna look different.
We know he's now 103, and
right, but he still had. It sounded like he still had the old voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I understand how they had to do that too.
Voice, right.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. But our voices age also as we go through.
And change.
Right. And, our balls drop.
I used to be talking like this.
Yes.
Hi. I used to be like Mickey Mouse.
But you know what I mean? It's still that scenario of them passing on the torch. And I thought that was the end of the last one.
Well, me too, because it ended really, I loved the way the last one ended.
Oh, I know.
I was like, okay, cool.
Right? And
again,
it was like a flashback to nostalgia, and of course, everybody probably cheered in the theater when it came out, and they all saw
and it was
that
all for
happening.
Harold,
right? Exactly, and that's a real good tie into it. But now we're also seeing other characters, like Janine is in the trailer, and she's
I'll have to watch the trailer. I haven't watched it yet.
God, you really
didn't
need
it
to
just
see
come out yesterday?
It did, and I watched it immediately.
Oh my gosh,
as soon as I saw it. Right. So yes, but there's that whole scenario to it, and but it is definitely that arc back to nostalgia. But we'll see if it's enough to actually keep the whole storyline together. Because
so let me ask you this one again, sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
Did you honestly like the Ghostbusters remake with the females?
Okay, I did.
I thought it was
had
funny.
Its own storyline to it,
and I thought it was funny.
It was like you could almost play it as a parallel.
People were shitting on it, and I'm like, it's actually funny. Again, with Indiana Jones, get on, sit down, shut up, and enjoy the ride.
Just know that it's like, you could almost say that it was a parallel universe kind of thing, right?
I mean,
where they didn't throw back and say, oh, well, they had Bill Murray in it, but he wasn't his character Veckman.
Right. He just
right?
oh, hey, I'm gonna. Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. He was I think it was like a professor or
something like that.
Yeah,
but you get those women who are all very, very funny.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Melissa McCarthy and Kate McKinnon, and it was just like all of them are just so funny. I'm like, how? Just because they made a female cast and it was its own story, and it was almost like if Ghostbusters had a branch off, like they franchised, and this was on the other part of town or something, they were taking care of that stuff in a weird way, but but it was. I know so many people just from the original trailer when it came out years ago, there was like, oh, an all-female cast, oh, it's gonna suck. And I'm like,
it was already poo-poo.
And
right
I'm like,
the beginning.
These women in this are hysterical.
They hold stories of their own in other movies. I don't know why it was such an issue.
I thought the female Ghostbusters, I enjoyed it. I went along for the ride, laughed, was like, okay, cool.
Right.
Kate McKinnon was hysterical in it. She was like just so funny.
Yeah, she played that role.
Absolutely.
Again, their character. They know characters and they can be characters, because when she was in the Barbie movie and she played crazy,
the crazy,
oh my God, and she was doing the splits all the time.
Right.
It was like, holy crap, that's funny as hell. But that's kind of how the dolls were when
they did the splits and like if you did
they
their
were
arms,
all
that's the way
messed
they
up.
went.
To play the character,
I mean, I didn't play with
understand
Barbies
the
when
role.
I was a kid. I mean, I don't know what
Not
you're
that
talking
you
about,
had
Dave.
Barbies,
I don't
but
know what
yes,
you're talking
but
about. I didn't play with Barbies when I
there
was a
we
kid.
go. Yeah,
I didn't have an older sister that had Barbies or a mother that was obsessed with Barbies.
Right. Let's
I don't know
throw
what you're
that
talking
into
about.
it. Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
sorry.
I think we all know people who had Barbies, so it's all good. That is all the movies.
That was the movie stuff. So I'm going to get back to.
I can't think of anything new that I saw that was movie related.
You need to watch Top Gun Maverick. You literally need to go home.
As you're going to watch the Oscar ones.
Get home at 1 o'clock in the morning and start Top Gun Maverick so we can have a whole Top Gun Maverick episode discussion next week.
Is it 3.5 hours long? Because I don't know if I can sit through that.
I think it's only like 2:15.
Oh, only 2:15.
Yeah.
Really? You know how much was the original? The original had to be 90 something. 90
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was a movie in the 80s. All movies in the 80s. All the movies were 90 minutes. When they went past an hour and 45 minutes, that's when people stopped watching. It was like, oh my God, if it hit 2 hours, forget it.
I couldn't do it. Well, they can't.
Forget it.
Well, the drinks were also, huge. So you really just had to.
Because for a quarter more, you can just get a large.
Or yeah, and
just
it fits right into it.
You can get a
large. Would just put the cup right in and show. And, it's so much bigger.
So that's what she said.
Nah.
Sorry, I had to say it. So the AFC NFC championship games were this weekend.
Yes, they were.
I did not see the AFC game until the end, and I've got to tell you, I am so happy that Taylor Swift is going to the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh,
so happy!
I'm so happy for all the Swifters that are going to be
that she'll be at the Super Bowl. This year.
My gosh! And did you hear the whole new thing about the?
Oh wait, did you hear that the Chiefs are going too?
Oh, the Chiefs are going.
Right. It's not just her. The rest of the team's going to.
Oh, they did, but they did win then.
Did you see her when she was on the field during the trophy? She was down on the field during the trophy presentation, and she had this entire security team around her, and then walking her off, and it was like all the cameras on her. I'm like, what about these guys that just played a 3-hour football game
to win the trophy,
playing against the Ravens, who are a great freaking team, getting their butts kicked? But let's watch Taylor prance around across the field. Again,
well,
don't love her, don't hate her.
Look, this isn't about that though, right? That isn't about the actual character. It's how they're treating this whole process, because it's also, I know we're not supposed to talk political. Never mind. I'm not going to bring it up.
Okay, good.
But there's a whole thing to that.
Okay. Well, yeah, that happened too. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
we're not
whatever.
That.
There's no reason for that. Anyway,
we're keeping this light and fun. We love you, Taylor. Don't worry, we do. And my wife and daughter love her like so much.
Right. But you're in one house or the other, it seems.
But I don't love her and I don't hate her. I liked her 1989 record, and a couple other singles. But then there's songs where I've been like, wow,
you kind of have to take it as her being a superstar. It's just the way that the treatment is going. It should be a little more reserved and dealt with, because the NFL teams are the NFL teams.
I remember years ago, like if there was a celebrity in the stands sitting up in like a little booth or whatever, and even if it was like, the girlfriend or the wife, they would get one shot for literally 3 seconds in the entire game. Like, oh, there's so-and-so's wife up there, or there's, and that's it. And they wouldn't keep going back to them and 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 back to them.
This is a bad precedence, because how many times do you hear about Spike Lee on the court?
But he's courtside. He's literally standing right next to the team,
right?
And the players.
But again, same scenario.
That's his seats.
It's the same scenario. It's the same thing.
And every time they cut up to a shot of somebody sitting in a press box or whatever in a suite or whatever, it's always like this grainy footage, because it's that one cameraman from the far end of the other side of the stadium. Oh, let me zoom in on them. Oh, there they are.
Well, because no one else has that angle, right? Anyone down near the field that's working a real camera, right? If they shot up that direction, you'd be getting every head along the way.
Right.
So you wouldn't get it anyway.
Anyway, Taylor Swift's going to the Super Bowl. Good for her.
Pleasant.
Congratulations to the Chiefs on your fourth appearance. Is it their fourth or fifth appearance?
I think every time Mahomes has played, every season he's gone to the Super Bowl.
Or something like that.
Which is the weirdest thing.
But he's a great quarterback.
He's good. Yes.
So, okay, so hold on to talking about great quarterbacks and great players in the NFL. But let's get the AFC Chiefs won, beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of pulling for the Ravens.
Local team.
They're
semi-local, but yes.
Exactly. We're just outside of DC, so we're just, a little further down from Baltimore.
Right.
And then NFC, I had it on. Okay. I was at work, so I could get pieces here and there. But what I wanted to see out of that was a solid matchup between the Lions and the 49ers.
Did it seem like two halves? It seemed like
totally
a game of two halves, though.
The first half with the
Detroit
Lions just coming in, I thought it was over. At
17
halftime, I thought it was over.
Points.
I know. I was like, this game's over. And then like I come back and like
San
all of a
Francisco
sudden,
decided
boom,
to
San Francisco's
adjust.
now tied it up and it's
27
24-24 or something.
They scored, rattled off 27 points.
Insane.
Right.
Insane. So it was like for them to come back and then to see the Lions there was 7.5 minutes left in the fourth. The Lions went fourth down and they decided to go for it instead of going for the field goal because they were in field goal range.
Which would have
and I was
tied
just
it
like,
initially,
oh my gosh.
right? Because once they
NFC Championship game, you've
not
got
putting
7.5 minutes left on the clock. You've got time. If you kick and miss it, which you're not because you're in field goal range.
Right.
If you kick and miss it, you turn it over. But if you go for it and miss it, you turn it over and you walk away with no points.
Nothing.
So take your 3 points. Kick off again into the end zone. Start them on the 25-yard line, or is it 20 or 25 now? They start
25.
From. Is it 25? And just keep playing the game and take your 3 points because at the end of the game, that 3 points would have been the tie game.
Yep. They wouldn't have had
forcing
to try
overtime,
yes.
and we still but I was just like that one play at the 7.5 minute mark when
but then you're playing armchair quarterback in that respect. If defense had actually stopped them at some point, between then and there,
because the defense still passed the play
that
too.
Second half didn't seem like anyone was stopping anyone in defense, except every time they got down close, there was a turnover or a fumble or and it just then swayed. Right, the San Francisco just went with that. And they built on that. Every time they came down, it was something happened with KC. I'm sorry, Detroit, where
game.
they would almost. I can't explain it, but it seemed like they were destined to do something that gave San Francisco the ball back because
they
fumbled the ball.
No, I don't think
not rigged because it wasn't any of that. Because it seemed like they were not. Physically able to make the play.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So,
and it was just a comedy of errors. When they were driving, San Francisco's driving, and the guy throws the ball 40 some yards, right? And it bounces off the guy who tried to catch it on defense, and it bounces off his face mask. And the other guy's right there, catches it and stumbles. And then now they're on the 5.
And now it's
if he had just not even tried to catch it and it didn't fall on his face, they would have been back on the 50 again, trying to do right. Yeah. And that would have been third and something. But I was happy that it was a close game and it was a 3-point game and it wasn't a blowout. And it wasn't like both teams. It was definitely 2 halves. Both teams had their chances. Both teams made mistakes. They corrected at halftime. I can tell you that.
So
they adjusted well.
I just know that the Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of red in the stands.
Because red and red.
It's going to be red and red.
You won't even going to know who's who because it's the same shade of red.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, I mean, it's I think the 49ers one's a little darker.
Yeah.
And KC's a little brighter.
Yeah.
But still, it's going to be a sea of red jerseys between both teams.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be all red. And I'm like, that's going to be interesting to see because the colors are so, because, like fans aren't like, even if they put the players like in a third jersey,
right,
to offset the redness, like the fans aren't going to go out and buy those jerseys. They're going to wear their jerseys they've worn all season because they're they're very stuck. Like if I don't wear my jersey today, we're going to lose. Kind of thing,
exactly
type stuff. So they're going to wear their normal stuff.
I get that.
So with the 49ers, this is where the question comes in and it's been a I can't say argument, more of a debate between me and one of my coworkers who is a big 49ers fan,
right,
and. He was very happy that they're going to the Super Bowl. He's actually taken off work on that Sunday and stuff. So
wow,
good for you, James. Glad your 49ers made it. Glad they made it. Go for it. So, but the discussion I've had with him several times over the past couple of weeks is about great players.
Okay,
and because he first asked me, he goes, "Do you think Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver in the game?" And I stopped and I thought about it, and I said, honestly. If he didn't have Joe Montana and Steve Young throwing to him his entire career, I don't know if Jerry Rice would have been the greatest receiver. And then his rebuttal is, so who would you go for? So we'd actually pulled up online the top 10 list of what the NFL feels are the best top 10 greatest receivers of all time.
Okay.
Jerry Rice is number 1.
Of course.
Jerry Rice has the stats. Jerry Rice is like up there. But again, had Montana and Steve Young throwing to him his entire career, except for he went to Vegas at the end, or not Vegas, but it was
Raiders.
Oakland, yeah, because now they're in Vegas. But anyway, Oakland Raiders in. So I think that somebody like Randy Moss would have been, who didn't have those quarterbacks throwing to him, who then put up the numbers, who is in the top 10 of what they feel the best receivers ever to play in the NFL.
True.
I think Randy Moss would have been up there because he was a guy that he was fast. He ran his routes. He was just, he just did it, and he did it without having quarterbacks, because I feel that I've always felt this, and I'm sure there's going to be some debate until the day I die about it, that a great receiver is made great by a great quarterback. Like I've seen, do you think that Marvin Harrison in Indianapolis would have got the numbers that he got if he didn't have Peyton Manning throwing to him all those years? Do you think
I think it's a percentage game.
Because the argument in here, like, you look at somebody like Tom Brady, who he went through multiple changes of his receiving core and just
in and
constantly
trades,
continued
anything.
Putting the numbers up. The receiver almost didn't matter. It was like if you can get your hand on a ball and you can catch it, Brady's going to put it in your hands.
Right.
So is a receiver as good as his quarterback, or is the quarterback what makes a receiver great?
Your arguments are true. Okay. He has to be available, right? He has to make himself open, for one. So he has to run the routes.
Absolutely.
But he's running those routes in a system, right? So that system also plays to the quarterback. Like a lot of the times the system is throw short 5 and 10 yards. Boom, 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 boom. Get the little ones. And then now we're going to bomb it, right? But if he's not the one he's going to, and it's always his tight end that's getting the short ones, and then the multiple yards where it's 80 and 90 yards happens to be Moss,
right?
Or, any of the Harrison, then the totals and the numbers are going to look outstanding, right? Or the touchdowns, right? But they have to be available. Like they have to be open.
They have to be good.
And
I'm not saying that Jerry Rice. I mean, Jerry Rice was good.
He ran the program.
Oh my gosh, he got open. He made space. He is a great receiver. I would give him that. But would he have been not as great?
Well, let's turn that around. Turn that around. Montana didn't have Rice to throw to, and he had a secondary player or a third player, and those became the high percentage throws because I'm throwing to him. He's my number one receiver. He's on the number one route.
Like example, like right now in Dallas, it's like Prescott and CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
So like,
CeeDee
but CeeDee Lamb like 2 years ago or 3 years ago was like, oh, he was the third or fourth receiver, and like, and then all of a sudden he just worked his way because he found his space to give Dak that thing.
Right.
Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, but then that familiarity of hitting him over and over again is because he's my number one read. He's my route. I check off on him, and then I throw to 2 and 3. See what I mean? So it's almost as if it's a combination of all that. But again, if I was a defense and I was playing smart, I would key on that. Rice is my number one runner. I should be.
But then there's guys like Rice and guys like who was it? Megatron, Calvin Johnson.
Okay.
Or for Detroit.
Yeah.
Like, he had okay quarterbacks thrown to him, but he was one of those guys. He was so big and so strong that he could get that separation. He could get that space. And I told, my coworker James, I said that I think that if Jerry Rice didn't have Montana and Young throwing to him, he still would have been a very successful receiver in the NFL, but he would have been more on that line of Calvin Johnson,
wide receiver,
like Calvin Johnson, by the way, is in that top 10 list. He's like at number 8 or 9 or something like that.
What about Ocho Cinco?
Chad Johnson?
Is that
no? Chad Johnson was on there. Terrell Owens was on there.
Terrell Owens, right?
Yeah, but not Chad Johnson.
Not Chad.
No, Chad. Okay. Chad just
see. That's another
the reason
one.
we remember Chad is just because he ran his mouth all the time.
Yeah, and that's another thing though. If you look at that,
but if he was on a better team with a better quarterback, would Chad Johnson be on that list?
Would he? If you put him in that same system, like the Patriots had, right?
Because he was stuck in Cincinnati,
and he got traded over to the Patriots for some strange reason. And
which Randy Moss did. Randy Moss got a couple years with Brady.
So you're kind of, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough scenario, and I would have to say that, politically correct, speaking, it's a team game, and everybody does their part. And if you're not doing your part, then you're an average team. Right.
And even Dak said that after the Cowboys lost to Green Bay, he goes, I sucked. I sucked today.
Well,
he was like,
again,
I was
everybody has games, but then someone has to pick it up after that.
Right. But he's the quarterback. He's the person that has to get the ball moving down the field.
That's true.
So,
but to put the ball in one person's hands like that, the running game may not have been giving him enough time to. The running game may not have given him enough back off and so they were, they had to pass all the time because they weren't producing on the running game. So then that features.
Yeah, but if you're going to go with the run game, you have to commit to the run game, and it might be third quarter before it starts breaking the game open. But you have to stick to it and hope your defense can keep you in the game.
But then you were wearing out your linemen, so then they become tired. So then now you have no pass protection.
And by the second half, they're dead. And
they're dead, and they're sucking wind, and I get that. But again, it's a whole team thing, and you got to have the right elements for everything to fall into place. That's why teams make it and some don't. And you think that they should because they've been so great, but their strength of schedule and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. There's so much.
Anyway, so I'll keep arguing the Jerry Rice thing.
I agree.
Because I would have to say Montana was amazing. He
and young,
in my eyes, Tom Brady and Joe Montana, two greatest. They are. I won't say that word because I think it's overused. No, I'm going to bleep that. I'm literally going to go back and I'm going to put a in
is
there.
That it?
Because I just,
okay. You can do that. You can do that. I agree.
Anyway,
yes.
Montana and Brady, both amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even a Patriots or 49ers fan.
Right.
Well, and Joe Montana actually went to the Chiefs at the end of his career.
Yes, he did.
So anyway, so the Super Bowl coming up in 2 weeks, it'll be the 49ers versus Taylor Swift. And the Chiefs.
The battle of the initials teams.
So that'll be our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, if you want to switch to NHL, I do have some news.
Let's do hockey.
Yep. It seems like
we're not going to keep boring listeners with
sports
talk.
Well, this is a quick one anyway. This is a quick one anyway because our opinions are the same on this one.
Quick hockey.
Yeah. And USA Hockey is mandating neck guards, and it's all in response to the gentleman who he passed away, unfortunately, an accident that occurred on the ice
in Europe. Was it a European game or was it?
It was a European game.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't here in the States. It was across. So me being somebody who actually does work with USA Hockey at my ice rink.
Yes.
When this came across, A, doesn't surprise me, and B, it's an extra layer of protection because like a neck guard, I mean, if you spend $29.99 or $30-$40 or whatever for one more piece of equipment, if you're already playing hockey and spending that kind of money, why would you not get that extra layer of protection just in case? I've been at my job for 11 years. I've never seen a player get their throat cut open ever.
Right.
It is a very freak of nature accident.
Throat, yes. Throat, yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen people get their tops of their legs cut open.
We saw that one time.
I've got pictures on my phone of the two different players that had the same exact thing. It was like
above his knee pad,
but below
his
the pants. And he got a cut across the top of his leg. Mm-hmm. And then I saw another player like a year and a half later. It happened to him too. And I'm like, how does that totally different player, different game, different level of play, same injury. I've seen that like literally. And when the first one happened. Luckily there was a EMT playing on on the other team,
right?
And so he and I were right there on it, and like he took the towel away and we looked and we could see down to the bone in his leg, and it was just like, okay, all right, we got this.
Didn't he fall on his own blade? Like
somehow,
he twisted and his leg was sideways. He didn't.
It's such a freak.
I was on the ice. I was the goalie for that one.
Oh right, that was the second one
because it happened in the top. Yeah, it happened up there, and he fell weird. And I had seen he didn't have his socks were falling the whole time.
They weren't like held
they weren't
up
always
stuff.
they weren't taped up or anything like that.
The socks aren't like cut proof. So I mean they're just knit socks. It's an extra layer of something. Yeah.
But he twisted while he was shooting, and I think he kind of came down awkwardly, but his other leg came across and got him. Right above,
right above that spot, and it was just
that is the strangest.
It's
thing.
a freak accident,
and I get it. It's just kind of happens, but I mean, a lot of the times the injuries that occur are because of freak accidents into the
it always is.
Or
it always. I've seen so many freak accidents at the rink happen in games, but I've never seen anybody's throat get cut. But I 100% support USA Hockey's decision in this because it's scary because you're skating on these blades out there that are super sharp, and it could happen. So if we can make it never happen again,
right?
Let's
deter
do
the whole
it.
Thing. Well, they do have other equipment, like they do have the it looks like different apparel that you can wear, pants, that
that's like cut proof or whatever. Well, and TJ Oshie has his line.
That's what I have in my article.
Yeah,
his, I read
is
that
it War Road?
Is that what it is? War Road. Yeah.
TJ Oshie, who Washington Capitals. Oh, I love Osh. Osh is my guy.
Yeah.
I met him twice.
Nice.
And right after we won a Stanley Cup too, so that was great. Anyway, love Osh. And yeah, so his company War Road, which is from his hometown in Minnesota, by the way, where he grew up playing. He has he was one of the first players. Like he's been wearing them in the NHL since that player in Europe passed, and he's been wearing them regularly. And his company sells them, and I'm like, good for him.
Right. And
go,
it does
go to warroad.com or whatever his website is and
Road,
order
exactly.
it. Get it,
Well, it does say that they have seen an uptick since that. They have seen an uptick of that where people are doing the due diligence of going out and getting these things and kind of circumventing the whole thing. Because as adults, it's not mandatory.
It's 18 and unders.
Everyone under
mandatory,
18 under have
but it
to
is.
Have it
I
before they can hit the
I received the email from USA Hockey today actually, and they said, but for adults, it is highly recommended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, that's what I'm seeing too. But
I see guys playing adult league that don't even wear shoulder pads. I'm like, oh my god, if you go down weird and slide into the boards, you're going to destroy your shoulder.
You're done.
Like I just
it'll be bad.
And there's guys that don't play.
Well,
shoulder
Pittsburgh
anyway,
isn't waiting. It seems that Pittsburgh's jumping on it, and their AHL and ECHL players are actually wearing the net protection already.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah. So they're already, hopefully they're showing that adults should anyway.
Absolutely.
And they should.
Just for layer protection. I mean, and if it's like a compression shirt that you normally wear under your gear anyway, like what it just comes up around your neck a little more.
Length to
absolutely.
It or a turtleneck.
It could save your life.
The only thing you're getting is extra sweaty. So, I mean.
Right. And you're going to wash it anyway and then wear it next week because you throw your stuff in the
It's just, you just throw it in your bag.
So I say that's a good thing. And I hope that, again, I hope adults highly recommend, I hope I start seeing more of that at the rink. I do hope with the adults. So, and with it being for youth, it's just a layer of protection that they need.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Because I've seen so many weird stuff but never that, luckily. So, I never do want to see that.
Oh gosh.
So
and no one needs to go through that at all anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have anything for next week except for you're going to watch Top Gun Maverick?
I think Top Gun's going to be my review and report. And we'll see about that.
You're going to do your homework.
Do my homework. Exactly.
I'm going to get through Killers of the Flower Moon. Did I get the name right?
You did.
Okay, I got the title right that time.
Yes.
So I'm going to get through that and hopefully one or two others.
Wow. Which ones are you thinking?
What's the one with Mark Ruffalo in it? Is that Poor Things?
Yeah.
Was that... I, again, haven't seen the trailer. I just know that he's in it. I like Mark Ruffalo. So, I mean,
I don't think I'm going to watch that one.
You're not going to watch that one?
No.
Was Emma Stone in that one?
Yes, she is.
Oh, well, see, I like both of them. So maybe I will watch that.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to watch the Paul Giamatti one because the
holdovers.
It's
a whole movie of that seems a little
like Dead Poet Society meets a Christmas Vacation or something. I mean,
it almost looked more
that would actually
boring
be funny. That would be funny, actually.
Would it? I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've got to look at the list. And again, it's whatever's on one of my 800
I don't think
services already paid for.
Is on that one, so you don't have to worry about
that. I might not have to worry about the Giamatti movie.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. So I'll see you next week.
Not a problem. Right. Sounds good.
Cool.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Pern and Dave, Let's Talk is brought to you by, Pern and Dave and
Scoops Ahoy.
Set sail on an ocean of flavor. And the good people at
Acme,
the Amazon for tunes. Till next time.